rights through an act of will or through international law. They can only do it by, spending 20, 30, 50 years getting wealthier. I think that's a little too pessimistic. But there are limits to what one can do, and I think that's really the main lesson of the book. So one reaction that people have had to this data that show that countries that enter human rights treaties do not generally improve human rights say, well, that's just because the human rights regime is too weak and it should be strengthened. Maybe we should put more money into it. Maybe we should build more international courts and other institutions. Or maybe we should be more ready to engage in military intervention to improve human rights in countries where the worst things are happening. Now, people are making that argument right now, right? People are saying the U.S. should intervene in Syria, and the U.S. is sort of intervening in Syria. So that's a common argument as well. But I think that all these things have been tried, and they haven't been very successful. Now, the opposite reaction is to say, let's just give up on human rights and just return to the 19th century world in which it was understood that all countries, can do whatever they want to their people. It's not the business of other countries to criticize a particular country for violating the rights of its people. I think that's an overreaction, but I do think that there's a role for human rights, or at least that countries should care about the well-being of people in other countries. In particular, people in the rich Western countries should care about the well-being of people in other poorer countries. But the way to address the problem of poverty and rights violations in other countries is not through international law, which is too rigid, top-down, too blunt an instrument. It's through foreign aid. Okay. Now, I have to pause here and provide a very brief history of foreign aid, then I'll stop. And this will really be very brief. Foreign aid once had all the problems that international human rights law did. It was very blunt instrument for helping countries. We would say, there's a poor country over there, what they need is a power plant, or what they need is money. We're going to lend them a lot of money. Or what they need is a better legal system, and we'll go in and fix the legal system. And all of those projects failed. And the reason why is that the Westerners who did this had this kind of theory about what a well-run country needs, and just went in and imposed it on people who didn't understand it or really want it. And in recent years, people have realized that a much better way of helping countries is through narrower types of interventions, for example, vaccination programs, which are carefully designed, empirically tested, and then implemented only if they work in one area. Implemented generally only if they work in one area. And this is the possible way of helping people in poor countries, and I think it's a good way. But it's important to understand that it's much less ambitious than the human rights regime, which suggests that it's possible for all countries to be, like Denmark, or pick your favorite country, Finland, or if you want, the United States. It's just too difficult. These countries are too complex and different from our own. And then I'll end with migration. If you really want to help people in other countries, probably the easiest way to do it is just to allow more migration, more people to come in and work. It's very easy to help people that way. So for example, if we let the United States, there are people in India who make about $1,000 a year, they could come in the United States and work as unskilled laborers and make $10,000 or $15,000 a year. So their wealth has gone up by 10 to 15 times, and they'll send much of it back to their family in the poor country. Now, of course, that would make wages go down in the United States and cause all kinds of problems. It's very complicated, but it is a way of helping people in other countries, and probably the most effective way. So with that, I will stop, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy